As you know, orca whales are also known as killer whales. But what is the reason for that? Orca's genus is Orcanus, which derives from the Latin word orcus. Orcus, in Roman mythology, is god of the underworld. The name is perfect for the apex predator, king of the top of the food chain for the oceans of the earth. A murky and alien space that we as a species have only explored 5% of.
Killer whales
Are just as mortally relentless as they are compassionate, empathetic, and social. You aren't to see an orca without their group, what is known as a pod. In general, their pods usually consist of 2 to 15 dolphins, but may go up to 40 to 50 of them. Their actions of familyhood and friendship are the very reason for their thrive all over the world's oceans. Their abilities to communicate through social means such as whistles, clicks, and pulse calls allow them to coordinate attacks for food or migrate to other lands. These astounding behaviors of society and culture have led orcas to strive to an extent to where they have no natural predators and span throughout the world from coastal waters to even lakes. I'd also like to say that killer whales aren't competitive towards each other, and a presumed instance of scarring behind the dorsal fins probably resulted from interactions with seals. But there was one instance of infanticide in 2016. As orcas' social nature and intelligence has allowed them to exhibit new behaviors, try out new hunting techniques, and migrate across the world, naturally these ways of life have branched the species out into many different subspecies. Each of these having differences in physical features, social behavior, and geographic location. There are 3 main subspecies, or ecotypes. The resident killer whales, who live in larger groups all over, from California to Russia. Transient killer whales, who live in smaller groups throughout the coast of the Pacific Northwest. And the large pods of offshore killer whales, which where they live is pretty self-explanatory. It's also worth mentioning that the vocalizations from different subspecies change in frequency and timing, meaning language. As you can see, orca whales regularly occur around the northern hemisphere. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, says that out of the around 50,000 orca whales globally, 2,500 of them live in the northeastern Pacific Ocean. A factor in this is salmon, particularly Chinook salmon, which is their primary source of food. Of course, orcas also eat other kinds of fish, as well as squid and seals. One part of the North Pacific is the Bering Sea, where orcas would find a seafloor characterized by sponges, crustaceans, starfish, mollusks, and barnacles, overtop the sand, boulders, pebbles, and gravel eroded from the shores of the Aleutian Islands. Fish include herring, cod, and of course, salmon. Temperatures of the water's surface average 1 Celsius in the north and 5 Celsius in the south, which means ice can only last so long, lasting about 285 days up north, and in the south, 215 days. With there sometimes being ice layered over the waters of the northern Pacific Ocean or Bering Sea, orcas have the ability to find food by coordinating with their group to make tides to push seals over the ice. When the summer melts the ice and allows the heat of the sunlight into the water, floating plant life is allowed to grow, which mostly consists of diatom algae. This algae is everywhere and will stick to anything, kinda like how barnacles stick to the bottom of a ship. Naturally, this stuff will stick onto orcas and give them a yellow hue. This hue is a natural characteristic of the type B whale. Orcas sometimes travel a vast distance from the shores of California to get this, and it's speculated that the reason for this abnormal behavior is to cleanse the skin using the diatoms, which may be an example of some sort of symbiotic relationship with orca whales. Orca whales are so successful that it's easy to say that they treat the oceans, coasts, and even lakes of the world like their playgrounds. But it's worth mentioning that their success coincides with the survival of their harsh and ironically life-threatening upbringing. This is if any killer whales are born in the first place. The average birthing rate for a calf is every 9 to 10 years. Pregnancy lasts for 17 months, and even with a successful birth, 37% to 50% of all calves die before reaching the age of 1. With this being said, killer whales have a steep survivalship curve, where their percentage of survival is low in the early years and plateaus in the later years. This pattern is known as a Type 3 survivalship curve, meaning only a few of them will survive till late adulthood because of the amount of death in earlier years. The struggle to maintain offspring has been concerning for the South residential population, After the capture of orcas for parks such as SeaWorld, the population dropped from 140 to 71 killer whales from 1960 to 1974. In 2020, the population will have only increased by 7, making the total population 78. This is due to a 20% decline of 98 whales from 1995 to 2001, leaving the population at 80 whales. With this being said, the rate of survival isn't entirely concrete, as the curve will vary between the different ecotypes and genders. For example, the female resident killer whale curve matches better with a type 2 curve, where a killer whale's mortality would increase with age. It's amazing to think that even through the prepubescent struggle of the killer whale, they still stand and become the rulers of the oceans of